This is Richard Levine, the maker of this film. A mutual friend in Georgetown, South Carolina, introduced me to Minnie Kennedy in 2012. She was wise, vivacious, witty, and compassionate. I kicked myself for not having a camera with me, and I knew I had to come back. And I did, a year later. At the age of 95, she had lost something. Her words trailed off, some stories she didn't remember at all. Like being arrested for sitting with her white friends on an Alabama ferry boat. I used title cards to fill in some of the gaps. Thank you, Minnie, and thank you for letting me share her with you.
I don't know about the truthfulness, but I'm always the questioner, the person who asks the question. How come, like the little kids, how come you so short? How come? You have to, for little kids, you have to know answers that you never even thought about. The black people in this part of America could not have babies in the hospital. You had to have babies at home. So they had one woman, they call them midwives, and they come to and help the mother get the church born. And my mother had 13 children. I was about the 11th, and I was the problem. All the others come out. What do you want from me, Mommy? I came out. I don't want to stay out here. I want to go back where I was. It's too dangerous out here. That was my attitude coming out of that room. And I got a hold of the midwife's apron, and they couldn't pry my tiny little finger, the midwife and my mother. So my mother, William, calling my dad, come in here. I think I got a witch. She got Miss So-and-so apron, and we can't pry her. William, come on in. I told my mother, I said, you didn't have a witch, Mom, you had a rebel. I said, what was happening all through my life in the black community was light skin, you're accepted. Long hair, curly hair, people accepted. Even yourself accepted and wish you were. Picky, they used to call me, people with hair like this, picky head. It's not good hair, it's this. All through that I went. And if you look down, 2 or 3 of my classmates in high school, father was white men. Because they had all the freedom they wanted or needed or whatever. They would, the black women in the families would do ironing, washing and ironing of white people. That's how they made a living, black women most of the time. And they'd take the laundry from the white family, take it to where they were living, wash and iron and all that, and take it back. And one of my classmates, and one who was a grade higher than we were at school, and there were 3 black girls or young women with the daughters of one white man. And one time, one of the white men put their dirty laundry in the basket and put it on his head and came to the house. I was visiting because one of the girls there was my classmate. And he put the basket of dirty laundry from his house in the basket on his head and came to the family that was living on the corner right here. And the husband of that woman was in the living room in his house on the corner listening to radio or something, but anyway, he was sitting in his living room. And the white man came and asked, where is the wife's name? So the husband said, call his wife. Mr. So-and-so is here. She came in. The white man and the black wife of the man sitting there went in the bedroom, had sex. You can't believe what America was like, especially in the South, you know. There were so many, and then in the black community, everybody liked the light-skinned one. And called people like me come out the country with nappy hair, because we didn't have any kind of a white-black mixture in our. And the husband sitting in the living room, the man came. Where is? I forgot what the wife was named. What is she? Where is she? And the husband called, and Mr. So-and-so is here. And the wife came. And they went right in the door to the bedroom, and the husband is sitting like right here. I tell you, people were living like I don't know what. When my dad was 14 years old, he married my mother, who was 12. So they didn't have much time for all that other stuff because they were busy. And then they had 13 children over the years, you know. It was, and every time I think about my parents and when they were living and we were in the same room, another thing they did, they always had conversations with you. And well, what book are you reading? You know, like they could read. I had to go start school at the age of 3 or 4. Because my mom and dad both worked for Bernard Baruch's family in their house. My mom was the cook, and my dad was the guiding person for Baruch to hunt and shoot ducks and all that stuff. And when we go to church, my dad was one of those so-called lay ministers. So he's up there preaching and all that, and I'm sitting in the pew with my mother. So I get on my knee in the pew looking toward the door. My mother, turn around and sit down. What are you looking for? I'm looking to see when God is coming home. Because they call the church the house of God. So I thought it was where God lived. I tell you, because when the kids said, Minnie, let's go to your house, I know where we're going. But to go to the church where everybody's in there and they talk about the house of God, I said, well, I said to my mother, maybe he's in the kitchen cooking his breakfast. I was such a rebel, I tell you. But you know what? Throughout all my life, living on the plantation, I wrote letters for everybody who wanted to have had somebody out there. Wrote letters, read their letters for them when they got there was no educated person except the kids who were in school getting an education. And I was determined that I was going to be educated. I always wanted to be a teacher. You know, the teachers that came to Hobcall in that little schoolhouse, did you ever see it? Anyways, it's a little one room like our bathroom or something. That's how big, because only the black kids went. And not only black, but the few whose parents wanted them to get an education. When we got to be 12, 13, some parents put their kids to work on the plantation. They didn't go to school at all. And my dad put us in Georgetown to live with his mother so we could go to school here. And in the summer when school closed, we went to work on the plantation. From Monday to Friday, 50 cents a day, planting flowers and stuff, you know, and from 8 to 5, come home on Friday afternoon after having worked a full week, $2.50 was our pay. 50 cents a day, 5 days a week. But, and the things like that, I know what it made me. Convinced that life is better somewhere, sometime, whatever. And Baruch told my dad, if any of the children on the plantation didn't say just our family who wanted to go to school and finish school, he would pay the expense. You know who went? One, me. Finished high school, went to state, wrote Baruch a letter and called him on the phone and all. And he told my dad, that Minnie sure is rude. After he made that promise, I pushed my dad. Dad, why don't you remind Baruch what he said? Leave the man alone, my father. If the man forgot, he forgot. I said, forgot, he promised that he would. So I sat down and wrote my own letter to Baruch. Reminded him of his that, and then he didn't pay my dad or give him anything. The tuition was $12 a month or something. And my dad got me through South Carolina State undergraduate. I sat down and wrote Baruch a letter, sent him all the receipts, and by that time I had already got the ring, so I put the cost of my ring in, mailed it to him in New York. He said 4 years with all the expenses was $600 for undergraduate. So Baruch sent my dad a check for the full. Wow. But then at the bottom of his note to my dad, that Minnie sure is rude. I said, a promise is a promise, you know. And then they gave me a job to teach in Georgetown. The kids were bigger than I was, especially the girls. And I heard the girls one day, if she doesn't do what we want her to do, we'll beat her. And I wouldn't say that last word. And I was so scared. I was trying to find all kind of devious ways to get home from school, because the kids might beat me up in the public and I would be so embarrassed. But they didn't follow through on it, because they were as big as I had just left 3 years before that. And I was so scared. I used to find devious ways of getting there. My salary was $50 a month. My mother gave me my room upstairs in the house, $15 out of 50. I applied for a teaching job when I went to New York. And they thought, I think, that I was interested in Harlem, where most of the blacks are, right? And they tell me they can't hire me in the public school because they already got enough accents, Southern accent. Meanwhile, there were so many European accents in the school system, the kids couldn't understand. But they didn't want to take me because they thought I should have an appointment in Harlem, but they can't give me any teaching appointment because the kids have enough accent. So, so I went to the Brooklyn Navy Yard. After the Brooklyn Navy Yard, one of the students in a class at Teachers College that I was preparing myself to teach in the New York schools, she told me, why don't you get a job in the nursery schools? So she gave me a phone number for predominantly Jewish nursery school in the Bronx. And I called the number. The director said, could you come tomorrow for an interview? I was so fortunate all the way, all of my steps upward. People just helping me like crazy. So I went for the interview. It was a Jewish school for 3 and 4 and 5-year-old kids, predominantly Jewish kids, scholarship for anybody else. When I started teaching, I taught from 3-year-old kids to college kids, all the way up. With the 3 and 4 years old kid, I taught them like they are a student and I am a teacher. And that's how my relationship with them. And like, for instance, one little girl in one of my 4-year-old classes, she had traveled all over the world with her parents and stuff like that. So I was sitting down in my classroom. The kids were sitting, just getting the day ready to move forward or whatever. The little girl who had traveled a lot, she was sitting like over here. A little boy was sitting there with his legs stretched out, and she wanted to go over there. So she picked herself up and she kicked the kids' feet out the way and she went. I told those 4-year-old kids, I said, we have to have a meeting. They say, what's a meeting? I said, there's something happening in this room that we need to talk about. A 4-year-old. And I would not put them in rows because then I'm in the front, I'm in the back, you know, all that crappy stuff. So anyway, I got them make a circle with chairs and sit down. And I told them what this little girl, I told with her there, and I reminded her what she had done. I said, it was all right what you wanted to do, but the way that you did it hurt another human being. So I said, you have words, and I used an expression that went to the parents. The kids took it home. You don't have to hit. You have words. Use words. And that went all through my class. And the kids, stop it. You know what Minnie said. You have words. And a mother, you wouldn't believe this, a mother came to me, Miss Minnie, you're the only one who teach the way you do. What is this thing with you don't have to hit, you have words with? Can you imagine a parent? And then I thought maybe somebody got killed in that house using words instead of hitting. So I said, what happened? She told this little 4-year-old to go in her room to change her clothes because she had to take her shopping. She's outgrowing her clothes. The mother went in her own room, got ready. she came out, went into her daughter's room. Um, the kid isn't ready. She's sitting on the floor playing with toys. She got distracted. She forgot what her mother told her to do. So she's sitting on, the mother wallops her. Didn't I tell you to go change your clothes? And whatever. And the little girl, Mommy, you don't have to hit. You have words, you use them. So the mother comes, Minnie, you the only one who teach the way. I thought I was being criminal or something. I thought that if we could do something with the school and make the acquisition of becoming an educated person would eliminate some of that raw shooting and all that nonsense. If you have an education that would sort of balance or overthrow that. So the more people who become educated will begin to think differently, and that's what I wanted to get into. And Dr. King was the only leader that I could see for myself who had an even kind of feeling and thought about changing. Too many people thought changing meant killing. And Dr. King wasn't for that at all. He was for changing to move forward instead of backwards or what. So those were some interesting times. And there was almost all questions and no answers for the people who were putting you in jail and all. It's really, because some people got killed on the marching line. One Sunday we had thought, and we were almost all packing to go back to our work or whatever, and we were marching. I think it was some town or some, Salem, the name of the town or something. Salem come to my mind or whatever. And we were marching, and the policemen were on horses this time, and pushing us along with the horses. You know, they're on the horses, coming right into the crowd, that sort of thing. Because one time they took a hose, water hose, and turned it forcefully, the water, and the water is so strong it plunks you against the wall and you can't move. The water is so strong in your back, pushing you against the wall. So it was all those kind of things, and some people could not let them. They were so scared. I forbid the public to make any distinction between Head Start kids and New York State grant kids. They couldn't. I wouldn't take the kids if they thought one of those pieces was better than the other piece. The kids didn't know who was Head Start. I said, that's nothing. I know what we need in this school is your name. That's what I tell them. People who may not even have children here or whatever. They pay taxes. They want little kids in America to get an education. One time when I was teaching at New York University, I had to go to the schools where the students who take my courses are teaching so I can see what help they need, right? There was a third grade, I think it was third or fifth or something. The teacher was my student at New York University. So she's struggling when I came to visit, struggling with the little girl, the little Puerto Rican, I think she was. And I saw what seemed to be, she's making her life so hard. Why is she doing that? So I asked the teacher, who was my student, I said, do you mind if I help her a little? She said she was so happy she went to do something else in the classroom. So I said to the little girl, where do you live? She told me exactly. And what do you take to get to your apartment? Do you go up some stairs or do you use? She gave me the answer. Every question I asked her, and I asked her a question that I was pretty sure she could give me the answer, so she could know. She knows some things. She gave me the answer. So I said, you want to read a little bit now? She said, yeah. So I said, don't read out loud any word until you see that little dot at the end, or if a question mark or whatever. You see that? Yeah. I said, don't say those words until you get there. All right? I said, just look at them, keep them in your head. She did that. And because the sentences were short in that grade level book anyhow. So she did, and she got about 4 or 5 words, and she said it loud. She got to the end. It was a period or question mark or whatever. She said that because I talked to her about it before. And teacher, I'm reading! Loud to the teacher. It makes you realize it's all not too hard. You just have to have some way to teach each child, because all of them are different. You know, I was teaching a 5-year-old group once a year, and one little girl in my class of kindergarten age came right to school one morning. Miss Minnie, is there a God? I thought, parents don't like teachers to talk about religion with their children. So I said to her, in this great big world, with so many people, I had to put it in that kind of way as a teacher, not to change, because then that mother would go, what makes you tell my daughter, all that. I said, in this great big world, and so many people, it might be that some people believe there's a God and some people don't. You know what, that little one, she didn't accept that. She said, well, if more people believe that there is a God than the ones who don't, then would there be one? She was a terrific little one, I tell you. I was from a little girl involved in human relations. If God is so good, how could he can create evil? How did Satan get into anything? Did God create Satan? All of those things. Because I was just like everything that comes into being caught my attention. If my mother makes biscuit and something goes wrong, that captures my imagination. Everything that goes out of the when it was created to be good, or you cook so that everybody can taste and eat it, and it can eat it, but something went wrong in the cooking. How can things go wrong was my theory forever. I still have a lot of that in mind. How could it be? How could that be? My dad, stop the worrying. It's God's work, and all that. And then I didn't know who is God and where did he come from and who created him and all that stuff. I was such a bug in people. Oh boy. And even now, I just can't. I mean, I think that's why even when I was growing up teaching college level, all that, I went on those civil rights thing because it just, for me, it wasn't complete, whatever was happening, to help every one of us, everybody, white, black, blue, whatever, understand what God did, you know. Then I could never, even now, I can't figure it out. Because somebody comes along who God created as a person to be in his world, and I said, who came in and messed it up? For each individual who moved in a different direction, where did they get the need or the reason or the thought that they could succeed in going what I would perceive to be against God's wishes? That still bothers me, and some people understand that, and I can't half of the time understand how I could be so different. You know, people accept things I wouldn't even dream. Hitting kids and all that. I see parents I've been spanking little tiny little one who can't even talk yet. Or what? And everybody, God, the kids cry for everything. They cry when they hurt. They cry when they want candy. They cry because they don't have the words. Parents and other grown-up who have the words don't help the kid. You see what I'm saying? So the bad keeps growing one with the good. And in that area, like a meadow, they had set up chairs and all. I stood up on the chair so everybody was below me, and there were hundreds of people at that inauguration. And I said that Pledge of Allegiance and all, and tears were coming down my eyes or whatever. And I thought that was a day that I never thought would happen. A black man up there being inaugurated, his wife there, and he's holding her hand, and I'm standing there, got up, crawl up there on the chair, on the table, so I could be seen, and I was above the crowd, and said that whole pledge of allegiance to the flag of the man. I couldn't say it all through school. Even a little girl in second, third grade, every Friday morning we had to go to the auditorium and have some kind of a dedication to America as a country and all that. I couldn't do that either. And the principal, this was all black school in Georgetown, the principal come and would sit and he'd listen to who is saying it and who is not. And he come with the big stick, a long circular kind of stick or something, and Minnie, you must say that Pledge of Allegiance. And he made me say it through high school. And when I went to the inauguration, that was the first time I took it upon myself. I said to myself, I didn't tell anybody because I climbed up there and I said it. And this liberty and justice for all. And when the principal would make me say it, when I was going to high school, I would say, there's liberty and justice for some people. I tell you, I was so stubborn and think that was so wrong, not to make the world and America what we are saying in that pledge. I just thought it was not right, so I wouldn't say it. But I got up there and say it, and with liberty and justice for all. I don't know. And all my sisters, mothers, parents, fathers, all of them are gone. And here I am, still wondering. This generation should know a little bit more of the truth of life. They should leave something that's permanent, that explains something that the world or the country or the kids in school or whatever didn't know yet. We all live beyond the ones, the last generation. Basketball player, Johnson and Bird, Larry Bird, and I forgot his first name. And I tease them, oh, not them, but when I come in and I look at it, he's saying, "Let's play."